Okay, so probably curious about my title. That's okay. We'll get to that in a second. Before we do, I'd just like to mention BGS did a wonderful job packaging these cards. They were packaged exquisitely. There's like no way these cards should have gotten damaged. I've already opened the main box. Sorry, I was in a hurry. Um, they, packaged them, bell wrapped them, stuff like that. I'm not saying I have any issues with how PSA has packaged cards either. I'm just saying these were like extremely well packaged, which was nice. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I sent these 4 cards in. These are 4 cards that I off the bat was like, looked at them, I'm like, these will PSA 10. And I've called out every PSA 10 that I've mailed in. And these ones, when I looked at, I knew it right away they would PSA 10. So I'm like, did a double look at them. I go, these cards are pretty much perfect. So shouldn't get any less than a BGS standard 10, and maybe one of these 4 will black label. Well, I'm going to save you some time. None of them black labeled. They all, not all, but most of them got 9.5s, which is a PSA 10, which is nice to say that if I needed to, I could crack these open and send them to PSA, and they definitely should PSA 10. If you've never seen a Beckett slab, I've held one for a little bit. I owned one for a little bit. I never sent one in until these. These are my only Beckett submissions. But Beckett slabs are really great. I will say these are probably the coolest slabs ever. You can kind of see it on the side, right in the middle. It actually says Beckett. Um, it's like embossed. So Beckett slabs, really cool slabs, really clean. They were doing this white sort of thing in the top left before tag. Tag does the whole thing white within the acrylic. I like how Beckett has their foil label and their white. They're super smooth. They got the card. The card is like basically sealed sleeved in the middle. It's not loose flowing like PSA slabs. PSA is doing sealed cards now, but you have to pay a much higher fee for it. So now this is the card where I've pretty much came up with this video. Well, all 4 cards kind of got me wondering, but this card really kind of definitely hardened my opinion on this. So I paid the same service for all 4 cards, which was like standard service, BGS, and it comes out pretty close to like $40 a card. And the cards, when you do that standard service, has your cards valued at like $500 per card in terms of value. Well, this card as a BGS 9 basically is $500. And my issue with that is this card is just as clean as the other 3 cards. Again, I figured at least all these would at least BGS 10 at a minimum, but they all got 9.5 or this one a 9. And what I'm getting at is I think this one only got a 9 because I only paid for the $500 value service. Same to say with the other 3. Had I paid a higher level service, all 4 cards may have gone up. This is exactly what we don't want to see. And PSA has already started to do this in another way, but at least with the PSA's way, you still get your grade, you just have to pay for it. So if you aren't tracking PSA, let's say you sent this card in and it got a PSA 10, which puts this card at around $1,500 as a PSA 10, and you only paid for the lowest grading fee, bulk submission, which is like $18 a card if you have card collector like I do. Not card collector, but collector's club with PSA. So you only paid $20 for the grading fee, which only had it at an estimated value of $200 value service. Well, once PSA grades it a 10, you're still going to get your 10, but PSA upcharges you for what the service should have been based on the new value of the card. So you still get your card and you still get the grade you were supposed to get, but PSA has decided that they're going to get their money's worth by once they've given you that grade, they're going to get their money. It looks like BGS has decided that even if you were supposed to grade higher, they're just going to give you the grade you paid for. Now, I'm not saying you should pay for a $1,000 service grade and you send in a beat up card and you're going to get a BGS 10. What I'm saying is BGS, it looks like BGS is capping you at what your card could have, this card could have received a BGS 10. I don't think this card would have black labeled. I would have figured one of these others would have black labeled. The one I thought that really would have black labeled would have been this Arceus. And you can see even on their scale, it was very close. It just needed 0.5 and the other two things. And honestly, I'm not seeing it. I definitely think this card should have black labeled. But this card, the other three cards should have at least BGS 10'd. And this one received a BGS 9, which again just happens to be the $500 value. Those others, they don't really exactly cap out at 500. They're not. They get up there when you get into the higher labels for BGS. Like again, the black labels, they get into the thousands very quickly. Like the high thousands, like almost even into the pentadigits. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not really fond of PSA system, but at least you get the grade that you should have gotten. You just have to end up paying for it. BGS, for example, this card probably should have came back higher, but instead of them charging me a bit more, now if I really want to do it again with BGS, I have to crack open or resubmit the card, pay a whole bunch of money again, and then maybe they'll give me a BGS 9.5 or 10. Not really fond of either of that. Not really fond of either system. It should just be you pay a fee and you get your card based on the grade it is, not based on the grade it is plus how much money you paid. It's kind of like unlocking full content of your card. But with that being said, still full first round pick. If I had to buy a card, I would buy it already BGS slabbed. I just don't know if I'm going to go about really submitting. I was really hoping to be submitting more cards to BGS. I'm definitely going to be extremely selective. I was already pretty selective with these four. By extremely selective, I am only going to be sending super high dollar value cards to BGS. And that's because then it's worth paying the whole bunch of service fee money as well. So yeah, I'm probably only ever going to be submitting $5,000+ value cards to BGS. Because honestly, that's what I think is going to take to black label. Yeah, there are lower end cards that black label. I think BGS still knows that they need to do that with some population of era of cards that come through. But I do think just with this 4-card submission, I do think that BGS is pretty much halting your grade at the value you paid, and I don't agree with that. Again, there's no full confirmation on that. That's just based on these little 4 pieces of evidence. I'm not trying to create slander or libel against BGS. I think their grading service is great in terms of what you get back, in terms of the product and the slab. But also the other issue that I'm seeing, I haven't tried CGC yet, but just like PSA, BGS also has a failed contract. So I paid for the service. It was supposed to be here a while ago, and as soon as the cards got into their hands, that's when they finally message you saying, oh, well, actually, we're going to be an extra 2 to 3 weeks behind, which actually just happened for me with PSA as well. So I don't appreciate that with anyone, to where we have an agreed upon amount to expedite services, agreed upon dates with those services, and then you don't meet that end on your half and you still keep all of my money. So yeah, BGS still has some things to overcome, but if I had to just buy outright slabbed cards, BGS all day.